it's not for the faint of heart. I personally believe that you should be passion driven to do this because it's too difficult otherwise. And I was certainly extremely passion driven, and still am. And so I
Good.
think that's really important. And another
Mhm.
really important niche, another really important tip I have, and this comes from my background in public relations, is you should have a niche, a specific, identifiable niche. Your niche should be written all over your blog, all over your social media, all over your communications. It should be absolutely clear to everyone what your niche is.
Are you interested in adding multi-day to your day tour business? Are you looking to understand growth and scale strategies in the multi-day world? Looking to finally crack the technology stack you need to organize, automate, and grow your business? Then join Tourpreneur in Seville, Spain for Tourpreneur Connect, November 27th to 30th, 2023, for an event unlike any other in our industry. Open to strictly 100 operators. Pete, Mitch, Chris, and other industry experts will guide you through the do's, don'ts, twists, and turns of running a multi-day tour business. Not only that, Tourpreneur are giving back as we will be bringing in local suppliers and businesses to help us run the event. We're also opening up to a number of locally based tour operators who can attend for free. So join Tourpreneur in Seville for Connect November 27th to 30th, 2023. And join us for an unforgettable experience of learning and connection in one of Europe's most unforgettable cities. Visit tourpreneur.com/connect for more info.
I am sitting right now with Mariellen Ward from Breathe, Dream, Go, and also India for Beginners. Mariellen is an India travel expert, and as happens with many, many people, she was going through a life change after experiencing a terrible run of personal tragedy. She went to India with the goal of refreshing her purpose in life, and very happy to say that she succeeded. She runs the travel website Breathe, Dream, Go, like I said, but I found Mariellen through her project India for Beginners. She has converted a blog audience into a rapidly growing tour company that offers tours all around India. And Mariellen, yeah, she's quite credible. The amount of logos on Mariellen's website is ridiculous. She's got Condé Nast Web Traveler there, BBC Travel, National Geographic Traveler. She's been featured in all of the things. But Mariellen, before we get into your story, before we learn about blogging and social media tips, the other day you were tweeting about something that really grabbed my attention, and I want to ask you about it. India has decided to shut down all of their tourism offices around the world. Is that right? And do you know why?
Um, no, I don't know why. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
I'm sure they have a reason, but I think they're leaving one or two offices open, maybe. But
Mm-hmm.
overall, they're shutting down the incredible India tourism offices globally. And I don't even know what to say. I don't understand.
It's crazy. So have you collaborated directly with them in the past?
Yes, I have. They've been very supportive of me, extremely supportive. In fact, I was the first blogger that Incredible India Tourism, the Ministry of India's official Ministry of Tourism, ever sent to India from Canada.
Wow.
And because I got the support of a wonderful person named Vibhav Tripathi, and he totally believed in me and supported me. And he's been an important person on my journey, and he's in the ministry. So he also, I think, was the person behind me getting the National Tourism Award. I'm also the only blogger who's ever had a National Tourism Award from the Ministry of Tourism here in India.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been on several press trips with them. I mean, they have done a lot to support me. I wish, I could do more for them, but I don't understand their strategy.
Yeah, well, you've done a lot for them in a way, right? You've helped expose India to the world from your own perspectives, right? And it really educate people on the best way to visit India. And you've got your tours as well. So it's one of these things where it's not like you if you're a regional tourism office, it's not like you press a button and visitors come out of it, right? You invest and you invest and you invest, and then magic
Yeah.
happens, right? And in your case, you. So, but yeah, there's a lot of birds tweeting in the background. So it sounds wonderfully atmospheric where you're at right now. Well, where are you, and what are you
I'm
doing there?
waking up. I'm waking up in Goa. The sun is just
Wow.
coming up in front of me. I'm watching it through the trees, And I'm quite near Mandurah Beach. I'm at a retreat center near Mandurah Beach, and I'm spending time getting to know. I'm researching Ayurveda and yoga centers in Goa and Kerala for 2 months, because I'm getting a lot of requests for these types of um, trips. People are interested now, I think, in wellness more than ever. So I'm doing research, seeing what's new, what the pandemic changed a lot. Places closed, some places started, and so it's important to get out and see what's actually happening on the ground.
So for those people who haven't followed you before, I've given the 2 second summary, but it'd be good to send it a bit more depth, actually, what it is you do.
Well, my background's journalism and marketing and communications. I have a degree in journalism, and I've worked in communications and writing and marketing my entire career. That is essentially who I am. I'm a communicator. And so when I came to India for the first time in 2005, it was on a personal journey. Like you mentioned, I was on a personal journey to recover from personal losses, and I was in a really low place in my life. I was in a rut. I was in my 40s, and I just couldn't see the way ahead. But because I'm a writer, because I'm a journalist, I started a blog, and this was 2005. There were no blogs, and I just took out a page on a site called travelblog.org. It was free, and those pages are still up there. And my first 3 trips to India, I was blogging on travelblog.org, and it was just casual. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I was hooked. I knew I loved travel. I knew I loved India, and I knew I loved blogging. And somehow I could not see how this was going to work out at all. I mean, these are early days, no social media, standalone blogs didn't exist, but somehow I just knew this is what I wanted to do, even though I was kind of making it up as I went along. And then in 2009, I started my professional blog, Breathe, Dream, Go. And this was about the same time. I know many OG bloggers, who started in 2008, 2009. And this was when standalone travel blogs really started, I would say. And that's certainly when I started mine. And I hit the publish button on August 23rd, 2009, which was the festival of Ganesh in India. And Ganesh is the beloved elephant-headed god, who is he's the god of luck, auspicious beginnings, and many other wonderful things. So, and I feel like I have had Ganesh's blessings this whole time.
So you hit publish on the blog, and millions of dollars rained into your bank account, right? Or not?
Millions of experiences. Some people are rich in money, and some people are rich in experience. So in my case, rich in experience. I'm on these sites now. I just have to laugh. People started their blog 2 months ago, and they said, when will I start making money? I didn't make money for about 7 years.
Wow. Oh my God.
Any money, not a penny. I was freelance writing the whole time. And so blogging, we always say blogging is a marathon. It's not a sprint. This is a really important point I want to make, actually.
I'd like to hear more about it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is really important. I personally have found blogging to be very rewarding overall, but I don't want to make it sound like it's a magic bullet. It took me a really long time to establish myself, to make a name for myself, to get known, and a much longer time to make any money at all. And it's not for the faint of heart. I personally believe that you should be passion driven to do this, because it's too difficult otherwise. And I was certainly extremely passion driven, and still am. And so I think that's really important. And another really important niche, another really important tip I have, and this comes from my background in public relations, is you should have a niche, a specific identifiable niche. Your niche should be written all over your blog, all over your social media, all over your communications. It should be absolutely clear to everyone what your niche is. And it can be a small niche. You could be the expert on scuba diving in the Yucatan Peninsula or something. It doesn't have to be major, but become the go-to person for your niche. And I feel a lot of people think they should go wide, but I don't agree at all. I think you should go narrow and specific and aim to become the go-to person for that niche. And I personally feel this is the most successful path.
Yeah, I agree. So many questions I want to ask you. Breathe, Dream, Go, though, it's not 100% about India. There's lots of other destinations listed there.
True.
So
Yeah, can
you walk me through the logic of how you've structured that?
Well, I started in 2009 and didn't know what I was doing. So making it up as I go along.
None of us did know what was
I didn't know what I was doing, making it up as I went along. And it's the classic, I would give anything to go back knowing what I know now. Oh my gosh, I would do things so differently. I would set things up so differently.
That was actually my next question. If you could jump into a time machine and find 15 years younger Mariellen Ward, what would you be saying to her?
Well, I think I would have been more business minded, and I would have thought long and hard about what people actually need and what they want, rather than I was very interested in my personal self-expression. I saw myself as a travel writer, a travel journalist, and I wanted to express myself and my talents, which I did, and it was a great journey, and I don't regret it. But from a business perspective, it's a little bit less about me expressing myself and a little bit more about what is it that people need and want, and giving them that information, and giving them that information in a structured way that makes it easy for them to access it as well. That's actually very important. So I would have designed my blog very differently. It would have been all guides, and the navigation would have been very different. And I would have just, had a whole process set up for people. And yeah, I probably would have specifically just focused on, maybe I would have focused just on India or maybe South Asia. I'm not really sure. Although I really love having a Canada section. I have a big Canada section, which I love because I love travel in my own country. Mm-hmm. But so I think I would have just been much more business minded about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've got the India for Beginners website, and as best as I can tell, you're not blogging on that. Is that right?
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, I did put some blogs on there for content on the front page. And again, I think I'm going to redesign that site. I did that really quickly. And actually, it was at the beginning of the pandemic, and I just kind of threw it up quickly. I just used a template. I might redesign it, but there's some content on there. There are some blogs on there because I wanted to, I'm a huge believer in content marketing. Not everybody is, but I am. So I wanted to have some keywords, in content related to travel in India on the site. And then in the menu, you go in and you get all the information you really need. Although I might do it backwards now, the other way around when I redesign it. But but I think it's important that I tell people right up front that I get, 90% of my leads from my blog, Breathe, Dream, Go. It's just an important point. That because I've been online since 2009, my site has a very good ranking in Google, and I get on the front page for many different keywords, and especially search terms that people, I'm careful about using search terms people are actually looking for. And so people looking for travel in India find my blog usually. Or I do a lot of PR. Like, again, this is another thing. Bloggers don't always do public relations. A lot of them just focus on SEO and social media. But because I have a background in public relations, I do a lot of public relations. I'm on podcasts. I'm on guest posts, interviews, all kinds of things. People find me from all over the place. And and I have to say, again, another important point. Everybody who emails me, I email them and ask them, how did you find me? A huge number find me because of my own SEO, search engine optimization work, and finding my site online. That's by far the lion's share, and that's an important point. And then secondarily, they find me in these other places, around the web where I've done PR outreach. But the last place they find me is social media. I don't know whether it's because my social media is not effective or whether it's just that when you're actually looking to book a trip, I think social media is good for inspiration, in the marketing funnel. But when you're coming down towards booking, I think a website and PR outreach is better. That's my experience.
Right. So obviously there's a saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. There are a lot of travel companies out there that really have only dipped their feet into blogging. And that's one of the reasons why I asked you to join, because obviously the audience is mostly tour operators. If obviously you've gone from blogging to tour operating, but for those who've started with tour operating, would you recommend blogging? And if you would, how would you recommend approaching it for those people starting from scratch?
Well, this is my perspective only, of course, and other people are going to have a different take on this, but this has worked for me. It's working. Our company is doing, we're getting tons of inquiries nowadays. So I can speak from a successful experience, which is that the reason people contact me is because they've seen my blog, they've seen me online, they've seen me on these other guest posts and podcasts and things, and they know I'm a credible source on travel in India. And they relate to me because they're mostly foreign women coming from US, Canada, UK, Europe. And they know I'm an expert on travel in India. People talk about influencers. I don't understand influencers. What are you influencing? Like, you're influencing how to be an influencer. I don't believe in the whole concept of influencers. Influence flows from your expertise. It flows. Beautiful bird. It's, I set myself up as a credible expert on travel in India. I travel across India, for years and years, and people know it. And then they trust me. They trust me.
So the influencing.
Good guidance.
Right. So if I've got you correctly, the influencing is like a secondary effect, right? So people who set out to be influencers, that's often Instagram driven, or
I don't
narcissistic. But those
I don't understand. I don't understand it, so I probably shouldn't even comment on it, because I have a 25-year, 30-year background in marketing and communications and public relations, and I do not understand the concept of influencing.
Right.
What?
Sweet. I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
So my advice is, the reason I went on at length about this is that if having a niche, setting yourself up as a credible, you can't fake this, as a credible resource on your niche, I have found that to be extremely powerful.
So if I was a tour operator, you effectively, if I had to read between the lines, you'd be saying that it'd be a mistake to hire a freelancer and just unleash them for 3 or 10 cents a word or whatever it is.
Well, it's certainly not my style. I suppose you could try it, but
you've seen. But with respect, though, you're not the only, you're not just filming your own work. You've seen a lot of really poor examples of blogs, right? And in India, there's no shortage, right? So what would you say are the mistakes they are making that you're not?
I think bloggers have fallen. Oh, this is a bit controversial. I think bloggers have, drunk the SEO Kool-Aid.
Right.
SEO is really important, and it's really helped me. Don't get me wrong. It turned my learning SEO and relying on a few experts who helped me turn my blog around and help me get on, Google's first page. And there's no question that SEO has a huge part to play in that. But you can't just rely on SEO alone. And a lot of bloggers now, their blogs are so bland, they're so nondescript, there's no personality, there's no expertise. They just, and I'm in all these forums, so I know what they're doing. People will charge a lot of money. And bloggers seem to be paying it to learn how to search for unicorn keywords and stuff. And it's all about just trying to get traffic to your site. But traffic for what purpose? A lot of these people are not talking about what's the strategy, what's your business goal, what's your business model, what is the purpose of getting this traffic? And I think that's a thing that's personality and strategy are really missing for a lot of bloggers.
Right. So, to take you as an example, obviously you're trying to get in front of people who are quite early in the India destination inspiration search, right? So blogging about how to get to the airport from Delhi is probably a horrendous topic, right? Given that that's the kind of thing you'd be Googling well after you've decided how your how you're traveling, right? So what sort of things are you blogging about to really get in front of the people who are in that very, very early stage of research?
Well, I actually don't want the people who are in the early stage. I want the people who
Interesting.
know they want to go to India.
That's great.
And
So let's talk
who are
about it.
much further down the marketing funnel. If I was really interested in
Wonderful.
early stage, I would be all over
Mm.
Instagram, because I think
Mm.
Instagram is at the outer edge of the funnel. I could be wrong, but that's
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So people get inspired to go to India. They decide to go to India. They start doing research, and once they're quite committed, you're trying to get in front of them.
Yeah. So it's Google. I think Google, people, when people are close to the booking bottom end of the funnel, they are on Google. They might start on social media, but I think when they're serious about actually buying a ticket, they're on websites. They're looking at blogs. They're looking at websites,
Sure.
and that's where I want to be.
Mm-hmm. So what sort of topics would you recommend people focus on?
It depends on the niche. It really depends on the niche. I don't have a business background. I don't have an MBA, but one thing I have heard, and I'm sure it's familiar to many people, is that a really good way to start a successful business is to solve a pain point. Right. So what is the pain point for your niche? Okay, for India, it's really obvious, especially for women. They're really nervous about coming here. They've read all these negative media stories, and they feel nervous. So my company is completely focused on helping women travel safely in India. And that's my target market, and that's my marketing message. And it solves a pain point. So it depends on your niche. What's the pain point for your niche? That's what I would look for.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's not, and your niche, as you've really identified there, is not just the place. It's also your market that is searching to solve a specific problem, right?
Yeah.
So
you need to know your market, and you need to know what they're searching for, and what they need and what they want.
Absolutely. And I'm zooming around your website right now, and one article you've got is called "Is Travel in India Safe? My Top 20 Tips for Women Travelers." Right. So
that's my most successful blog post of all time.
Right. I'm not surprised by that. Right. So safety, if you're trying to target the exact market that is getting in touch with you, so you've been successful, safety is a pretty big topic.
For India. Now, it wouldn't be for a different country or a different market, but for India, it's number one. It's number one.
Right. Yeah, it's number one for, I suspect, quite a few countries in South Asia, the Middle East, Central Asia, all that sort of stuff, right? I know that without
Egypt, for sure. Egypt. Yeah, Egypt. If I was in Egypt, I would be doing this. I would be doing a similar. If I was in Egypt, I'd be doing a similar, or Turkey. Morocco. I would be doing. These are I would say I'm in a lot of. Another thing I do is I'm in a lot of women's groups, a lot of women's Facebook groups, women's travel Facebook groups, and giving advice on travel in India. And there's certain countries that come up over and over again that women are afraid to go to. India's one of the top. Egypt and India, probably Morocco and Turkey are the top, I would say. If I was in any of these countries, my marketing would focus on safety.
Interesting. So Facebook groups, let's talk about that for a second. You had a Facebook group and we were just messaging back and forth now, and you've abandoned it. Is that right?
Yeah, I never really was committed to it, so I shouldn't even talk about. I don't know very much about running Facebook groups, so I shouldn't comment on it.
Have you? Yeah, thank you for saying that. You're participating in Facebook groups, though. Is that just?
Yes. So I find it easier to just be a participant and share information than to run my own group.
And are you winning business that way, or is it just something you're doing because you're passionate about India?
It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both, I would say. It's a bit of a fine line. Like, I have a real passion for helping women travel safely in India. It goes far beyond business. It feels like my calling at this point in my life. I probably shouldn't say this, but I would do it for no money, although I do need to make a living. But it's literally a passion. So I'm driven to help women travel safely in India. I know there are some dangers here. The dangers are actually not what people think they are, though. The main danger in India, this is going to get me in trouble. The main danger in India is not crime. The main danger in India is unscrupulous people working in the hospitality sector. India is just rife with unscrupulous people on all levels, from auto rickshaw drivers to tour guides to even, I'm afraid to say, tour operators. There's just all kinds of scams going on here and all kinds of unethical behavior. I'm sorry to say it, but that is the biggest danger of travel in India. It's not getting hurt; it's getting ripped off.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The something you said though, I want to pick up on it. And you've kind of hinted at this quite a few times, if not said it directly. So one of my favorite expressions is that hobbies are something you do for hobbies are something you do for yourself, and passion is something you do for someone else, right? And that's exactly what you're doing, right? You're educating people about India because it's just something you care deeply about, and you've managed to turn that into an income.
That's a nice thing to say. Thank you. Thank you.
It's wonderful.
I came to this. I have to say, I came to this country in a very low state in my life, and India healed me. India brought me back to life. India inspired me. I mean, I got so many positive things out of my travels in India. So many beautiful things here, people and places and rituals and sense of the sacred. And yet in the Western media, all I read is all this negativity. And there's a dissonance. What do they call that? Cognitive dissonance. Right. There's such a gap between my on the ground experience and what I see in the media, and all this fear about travel in India. I mean, women have to be cautious everywhere, and there are certain specific cautions here for sure. You do have to keep your wits about you. But, we most of our travelers, when they get to India, because, my company is India for Beginners, so they're coming for the first time, every single person says, oh, my God, I'm so surprised. This isn't what I was expecting. They didn't expect the prosperity. They didn't expect the modernity. They didn't expect the just friendly, casual nature of India. They got such a dark picture of India painted in their minds. And it just wasn't my experience. And so I'm trying to challenge that perspective in everything I do.
Right. So how do you help people bridge that gap? Is it just a case of blogging, or is there some other magic to it?
I don't know. That's such a good question. I'm a big believer in storytelling. I am a storyteller. I think stories win people's hearts. And I tell stories on my blog and on social media. And I'm not afraid to tell stories from my heart and be emotional. And I think that touches people. And this whole business about, artificial intelligence taking over content, from my perspective, that's a sick joke. Like, you reach people through your own experience, and by sharing your vulnerability, by sharing your heart, by being truthful and honest and passionate and all these things. How is artificial intelligence ever going to capture that? I hope it never does. I hope it never does, or we're in trouble.
Yeah, but one thing about the content I've seen so far is that it's the kind of content that never worked anyway. Generic.
Yeah, it's the kind of content of the lazy. Yeah, it's the content of the lazy bloggers that I was talking about, who just write these listicles and things like that for SEO only. I like I said, it's a matter of balancing SEO and personality and passion. It's not that I'm against SEO. It's just that you can't rely 100% on SEO. Otherwise, you end up with just lifeless content that is not going to influence anybody.
Yeah, actually, I would actually recommend all of our listeners, if you're interested in this topic, look at Mariellen's website. This article, My Top Tips for Women Traveling in India, is an excellent version of the balance of SEO, because you have some of the common questions. Is India safe for women? Is it safe to travel in India? Is India safe to visit? Optimize for SEO, right? Yeah. But then straight up you say, well, one of the first pieces of text on this blog post is, well, why am I qualified to write about travel safety in India?
Yeah.
And you're telling your story. And so it's a perfect balance of getting people to the page and then engaging with them as a human being, talking to another human being. I love it.
you engage their head and their heart, not just their head. We're such
Yes.
it's a head-based society, you know, but what about the heart?
Yeah, that's so true. The mindless SEO content is so head based, right? But human beings, we don't travel for head reasons. We travel for heart reasons. We just need
Exactly.
the head to shut up a
To
little
get
bit.
us
Stop
there. Head gets us
worrying
on the
and
plane. The head,
yeah, that's
the
exactly
heart,
right.
heart draws us to the destination. The head gets us on the plane.
Right, right. Yeah, it's like a team. It's teamwork makes the dream work and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So tours. What was the trigger for you to switch to not switch, I guess, but what was the trigger for you to add tours as part of your business?
Your questions are so good, I have to tell you. Frustration. You want the honest truth? You want the honest answer?
Right.
Uh,
Honesty is the only policy. Yeah.
Extreme frustration and
Wow.
Feeling demoralized by trying to be a content creator and trying to make a living and trying to work in an industry that doesn't really value content marketing and doesn't actually understand marketing. And maybe in other parts of the world, they do. But in India, they don't understand the difference between sales and marketing. They know sales. They know about selling. They know about getting bums in seats. They don't understand marketing. And right. It's been very extremely frustrating for me working in this climate. And, you know, desperation drove me to starting a tour company. You know, a couple of years later and now starting to have really, success, I'm so happy. So believe me, the next time I get a big award, I'll stand on stage and go, thank you for frustrating me.
Wow.
Because you know what, it drove me to doing creating this company that I love and I love, operating and helping others. So frustration made me start it, but joy and passion keeps me going.
That's quite interesting. Did you have a resistance to starting a tour company, like some sort of perception?
I didn't have a resistance, but I don't have a background in the travel industry at all. I have a background in communications, but I got an amazingly lucky break. This is like one of the luckiest breaks of my entire life. I met a wonderful young man named Anjani Nandan in Delhi, and that was one of the luckiest days of my entire life. And of all the many, many years I networked in the tourism industry in India, went to conferences, travel marts. I mean, I've met hundreds and maybe thousands of people in the tourism industry in India. And I think maybe just one said, I want to take you out for coffee and ask you, what is it you're doing and how are you doing it? And was really curious, and this was Anjani, this young man who had his own small travel company in Delhi. And he took me out for coffee and we sat down and talked. And he was really curious about what I was doing and how I was doing it. And I honestly, I'm searching my memory, but I'm not sure that anybody's ever done it before or since. He's the only one. And turns out he's
showed an interest.
It's unbelievable when you think about it. I've won the National Tourism Award, but still nobody seemed to be interested in what I was doing. I don't understand it. This is my frustration, but
I have to sense that. I have
to leave that behind. I have to leave that behind because it did lead me to the right. Everything, all the roads were going in the right direction.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Anjani and his team, another incredibly wonderful, incredibly talented young man named Ujwal, were operating a small company in Delhi. They both worked for big tour operators in India. They both had a lot of experience in the travel industry, but they had their own small company just starting out. Oh my God. And we just clicked. We just came together and we're a dream team, because I'm marketing, obviously, and that's my expertise. And I bring in the leads. Anjani is a genius at closing sales. He's unbelievable. He's fantastic with the clients and creating itineraries and proposals. And then Ujwal is our operations manager. Again, he's just so good at his job. He just dots every I and crosses every T. And he's there when our tourists hit the ground. he is there for them, and he takes care of everything. He coordinates everything, and he's got a lot of personal experience and contacts, over 15 years in the business, and true blue professional. And so I could not do India for Beginners without Anjani and Ujwal, and I have to acknowledge this and appreciate them openly, because they're part of the heart and soul of this company.
I love that. You've really, oh man, there's so many threads I want to pull in here. There's a few things I really want to highlight. Firstly, you don't know how to run a tour company. You actually almost still don't, right? Because you have a specialty, which is your marketing and sales, right? And that's one half of it. And there are a whole bunch of people who are amazing at logistics and maybe not so good at marketing. So can I put an idea to you then, having heard what you've just said? We were talking about should tour operators blog and all that sort of thing. Perhaps it would be a good idea, and people do with this information what they will, but maybe some tour operators who are struggling, they can deliver amazing trips, but they're struggling to get exposure, should just look for someone like you who's the other side of the coin, got all the exposure, but maybe struggling to turn that into the ability to pay for a reasonable lifestyle and fund their passion. Would that be a fair thought there?
Well, I mean, I just hope that people got as lucky as me. I got lucky. I mean, I don't know how I could suggest that as a formula. I suppose it is, but in my case, it feels like it was just,
Right.
pure
luck. But you,
luck.
Yeah.
Ganesh, you pray to Ganesh.
But you were out there though. That's the thing. You were blogging. You were out there. At some point, you were going to find that person.
I was open to it. And we started slow. 4 or 5 years ago, we did one trip together, and then I came back from that trip, and I was like, oh my God, you guys are amazing. So we started slow, and then we started building things up slowly, and learning to work together and learning how to work together. It didn't happen overnight. It happened over a couple of years, and then of course we got slammed by the pandemic.
Right. So did you start with scheduled tours, or did you just start with custom tours?
Well, we've experimented with both, but we find that 98% of the people who contact us want a custom tour.
That is fascinating. I actually thought you were just about to say the opposite thing. So people, that's okay. Wow. Custom tours. So can you walk me through that? Like what, when someone wants a custom tour of India, what are they asking for?
Well, they want somebody to hold their hand. They want help with helping to design a viable itinerary, because they don't know India, and they don't know whether, it's reasonable to go from A to B, and how do you get there? So they need someone to do the logistical planning for them, for sure. India is not an easy place to figure that out if you don't know the place. And there's a lot of insider tips between the three of us. Oh my gosh, we got insider tips. Oh boy, yeah. Between the three of us, we're a powerhouse of insider tips. That's all I have to say.
Wow.
And so we can say, hey, don't take that train. That train is a nightmare. Take this train. I mean, we really, the three of us are very well traveled, as well as being industry experts.
Wow.
So that's a big part of it. But it's again, when they hit the ground, they want someone at the airport meeting them. They want somebody coordinating everything. They want a WhatsApp contact, or a couple of them, in case anything goes wrong. They want someone holding their hand while they're here, and I don't blame them. When you're first in India, I don't think personally, I don't find India to be a unsafe place, but I find it to be a very challenging place to travel. It is
because of what you've talked about with the scams and not.
Yeah, scams plus I mean, it's a very it's crowded, it's chaotic. There's millions of trains, but hard to get a train ticket. I mean, everything is overwhelming culture shock is overwhelming. When you're first here, you do need help. That's a fact.
Absolutely. And there's a time factor as well. Like, not everyone wants to sit around spending months trying to figure out, like you said, the train system or how to get from point A to point B, especially if someone knows the answer, right? If you have a little bit of budget, why not just pay the expert? So I know there's no such thing as a typical custom package, but are we... broad strokes, are we talking about multi-week, or like what is there, like something like a common thread between these people and their desires that you can share?
Yeah, they usually have a couple of weeks, sometimes less, sometimes more. Most of them do want to see the Taj Mahal, of course. Not everybody, but some people are just like, I don't care about the Taj Mahal, but most people want to see it. And most people tell us they want to have which I love. I just love the customers we're attracting. It's unbelievable. I don't know. I feel very blessed. We're getting people writing to us saying, I want to experience India. It's like, yes, I love you. That's what we want you to do. They're not saying to us, put me in a fancy car and take me to the,
Right.
5-star hotel. No, they're saying, I want to stay in a unique accommodation. I want to get to know the country. I want to go and see tigers. I want to, experience a rural village, and that's what we excel at.
Wow. I feel like it's amazing the contrast talking about what frustrates you and what's exciting you. Like you're lighting up so much right now when you're talking about this. So obviously,
well, that's why I say. That's why I say when I talk about the frustration, I have to say now I'm grateful because I love what I'm doing. It's rewarding on every level, and I'm still traveling. Like I'm on my computer. I still get to travel. Although I do spend a lot of time in Delhi now because I do like to meet as many clients as possible when they come to Delhi. But I also have to go out and see what's going on in the field. So I'm trying to balance that.
Which is what you're doing right now. You're checking out Goa. And can I ask you, I'd like to get a little bit granular if that's okay. Someone gets in touch with you through the contact form. What happens next?
Oh, I write them an email as soon as I can. I try to do it. Our standard operating procedure, service standard is within 24 hours. And, I just write them back and say, hi, here, this is who we are. This is what we do. And then we start the process. My partner, Anjani, he replies soon after, and he asks some questions that he needs the answers to start designing the custom itineraries. And it's we work back and forth until we nail it. We don't give up until we nail it. It has to be, the customer has to think that itinerary is perfect.
Absolutely. And there'd be so many little details that the customer would struggle to even recognize that it's special, right? Like, because it's not just about adding the special elements, it's about them helping them avoid pain, right?
We have to, we have to educate as we go. People do sometimes say the craziest things, like some of the requests, they don't know. I mean, they have no idea. They don't know that the Taj Mahal is closed on Friday. It's just a simple example, or they don't know how long it might take to get to Jaisalmer, is there any faster way to get to Jaisalmer? No, there isn't. It's a remote place. It's really beautiful and special and magical. You should go there. But like so many beautiful, special, magical places, it's not easy to get to,
Right. And that's what makes it special because other people struggle to get there, which means there's less people there. So is there a video call involved in this place, or is it just email?
It starts as email, and when they book, we do video. Or sometimes if they really feel uncomfortable, we'll do video. We'll do a Zoom call. We have a Zoom account, and we'll do a Zoom call with them. We're very flexible. We don't have any hard and fast rules. We just want to we're totally focused on, it's mostly women contacting us, and we're totally focused on making sure they feel very comfortable. So whatever it takes.
There's a lot of people who ask in Facebook groups who are in a similar position to yourself, and they raise this issue that seems to pop up from time to time of designing custom itineraries for people and not getting paid for it, and then them going off and doing something else. Have you had that issue? How do you approach this topic for free?
It happens occasionally, but not that often, so we don't worry about it.
Okay. Is there a certain...
Our philosophy is we give such great service that they want to book with us. They don't want to walk away from us.
Right. Yeah. I'm just trying to think. Is there, in the first step of your process, are you trying to qualify them as a lead or anything like that, or is it just you just overwhelm them with value?
Yeah, overwhelm them with love.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. So I just love everybody who writes to me.
That's so good. Yeah, we love it. In our company we call that special feeling, because like travel is about special feeling, right? I'm not trying to, I'm not comparing 2 percentage points at a mortgage here. I'm trying to have a memorable experience, and I'm investing a lot of time and money.
It's India. It's a dream.
And it's India. Right.
It's a life-changing
Right, exactly. So they reach out to you because they want personal connection, and you're giving that to them.
Of course. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
that's
driven
wonderful.
by passion and love and wanting people to have the most amazing trip of their life. That's the bottom line.
Can I? There's a question. There's the entrepreneur in me is scratching at my head for. I've got a question, and feel free to answer it in as little or as much detail as you like. But in terms of your business partnership, are you running as a single business, or are you kind of like separate businesses where there's like some sort of arrangement where you're a client effectively of is it Anjani?
Well, Anjani, yeah. So to operate in India as a business, I had to set up I had to incorporate, and I had to set up a business in India and incorporate here. So I'm an incorporated business in India called Breathe Dream Go India Private Limited, and that's the company that runs India for Beginners. And to do that in India as a foreigner, I had to have a Indian co-director. So Anjani is my co-director. So we're co-directors in this incorporated company called Breathe Dream Go India Private Limited. And, I have an accounting and business team and everything, the whole thing here in India. And so India for Beginners is run by that company.
Right.
So that's the company that's running it. And then Anjani and his team provide services to us for a management fee.
Right. That makes so much sense. And I'm happy you shared that, because there are a lot of people who are like, yeah, okay, that's obvious, right? But there are many, many people who are out there who are not that familiar with running a tour business, who don't understand that the relationship doesn't have to be so complicated. You don't have to be negotiating equity structures and all that sort of stuff. You can have a partner who works with you for a management fee, and both people can benefit.
But it depends on the jurisdiction. We had to do it a certain way because the way India's, because this is India, and India demanded that we do it a certain way. I didn't have a lot of choice. I had to incorporate, and I had to have an Indian co-director. So a lot is going to depend on where you're setting up the business, and also like I'm from Ontario, Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and in Ontario, Canada, the rules around who can sell travel and are very, very strict. You have to be licensed. You have to be you have to put up a bond, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so, but here in India, it's not a regulated profession to that extent at all. And so again, you have to look into what's required in your area.
Absolutely. What has been, just out of curiosity, what's it been like to deal with Indian bureaucrocy? Has it been a headache, or
It's so much fun. It's
It
so
is?
much fun.
Love it. That's the best way to approach it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I mean, India does not rank well on ease of doing business. I'll write a book about it one day after I leave the country, and it'll be. I hope it'll be filled with humor. I hope it'll make people laugh.
I love it. I see you're coming from a really positive place, and that's wonderful.
It's India. I learned. I've learned. I've been here for a long time. I came here 17
You learn
years
to adapt.
ago. You have to. You don't have any choice in India. If you can't go with the flow here, if you can't surrender, you just don't even come. Don't just leave, because there's no other way to be here.
Yep, that's true.
But that's part of the magic. That's part of the beauty of it.
Right. It's like trying to stop a river, isn't it? It's better to just join the river. Yeah. So what's next for India for Beginners?
I now have entrepreneurial challenges, which I've never had before in my life, because I was always a creative professional. I have entrepreneurial challenges that I'm hoping, of course, Tourpreneur will help me with, and I'm sure they will. It's an amazing group, and I've joined specifically for that reason, to get the wisdom and guidance of people who are, I might be very knowledgeable about content marketing, but in terms of running a tour business, I have a lot to learn. And entrepreneurial challenges around growing the business. We're being swamped with leads now, and we need to grow the business. And I don't have experience in growing a business, and I need that. I need all kinds of entrepreneurial help right now.
So what sort of challenges what sort of challenges are we talking about? So it sounds like you're talking about hiring, knowing who to hire.
Yeah, hiring, running, setting up systems, setting up a CRM, setting up, just setting up systems. When you're small and you don't have that many, running that many tours, it's not that difficult to do things even manually. But once you start to grow, you need to automate. I mean, I'd like to look into some sort of automation. Nothing. I don't want to automate anything that takes away from the human touch. That's for sure. But there's maybe some sides of the business that are not human touch sides that we can automate. And I have a laundry list, believe me.
I can imagine.
But I can't. We're in high season now. Like India's season is October to March.
And what's your ambition for the business?
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff I want to tackle might have to be put off till April. My ambition for the business is to continue to grow it and as much as we can. I believe in the business and I believe in what we're doing, and finding a way to scale I know it's going to be really challenging, but I hope we can do it. I hope we can find people who share our passion and who care as much as the three of us care, because I don't know how to do this if you don't care.
Yeah, no, yeah, totally agree. So just want to make sure, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one, but as we wrap up, because we're hitting our time limits, Mariellen, she'd won, what was it? It was a National Tourism Award. Is that, you'd won a National Tourism Award?
We're Ministry of Tourism here in India.
But you were frustrated because even with these recognitions, and even with having appeared in a gazillion publications, approximately, that's an approximate rough count. It sounds like just generating healthy lifestyle for your an income for yourself to actually maintain a solid lifestyle was really difficult. But now you switch to tours, so you have the content piece and a custom tours piece. Has that changed? Are you now in a place where you're not feeling that frustration anymore?
Here in India, there's a saying that either the goddess Saraswati, who's the goddess of the arts and knowledge and wisdom, will bless you, or Lakshmi, who is the goddess of abundance and wealth, will bless you, but not both.
So you're blessed by one and then the other.
Yeah, so for many, many years, I was blessed by Saraswati, and yesterday was Saraswati Puja, and I'm very grateful for that. But now I'm hoping to get the blessings of Lakshmi. I'm hoping the tour company will be successful. Both my partners, Anjani and Ujwal, are family men. They have young families. Anjani has a little baby girl, and she's so cute and born during the pandemic. And I want the company to be successful for them and their families as well. So I'm really hoping that now I can get the blessings of this Lakshmi instead of Saraswati for a while.
Yeah, I'm sure you will, and I love it. I think there's a lot of tour operators that would relate to that saying, and I know I do personally. It's been a long journey, very long journey, but now we're entering into what feels like a period of prosperity as well. So that's wonderful.
I hope so. I hope so for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all deserve it. Especially
after the pandemic. Whoa.
Yeah, and also the people like you, the heart-driven people who contribute so much to the world for free for so long, and to have the world kind of recognizing that finally is wonderful. So, any parting thoughts before we sign off?
No, I'm just very happy to be here. I loved your questions. I thought your questions were perfect. They're very insightful, and if you want to have me back anytime, I'd love to keep talking for sure.
And yeah, for sure. Get you back in a couple of years with your CRM set up and your systems working.
Yeah, exactly. And my team of loving, caring
wonderful people. Yeah, exactly.
And I just want to give a shout out to Tourpreneur and to everybody who's contributing to this amazing resource.
Yeah, the generosity from everyone has been amazing. I try to contribute my little way, and I know I've seen you jumping in to do the same recently as well, which is wonderful. And if the world is just a better place, if just people come in and just do those little contributions. But yeah, all right. Well, Mariellen, if someone wants to obviously get in touch with you or follow along with your journey, Breathe, Dream, Go, India for Beginners, is there any other particular thing they should know about if they're wanting to follow along?
No, just say hi.
Come along and say hi. Awesome. That's a great tip. Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much, Mariellen Ward.
Thank you very much for having me.